Welcome.
Welcome.
That's not bad.
Not bad. Not bad.
Let's see what we can find today. Fucking pull shift. I got a pull shift for you. Something ancient.
To the people of Australia, and especially all those affected by the horrific and anti-Semitic terrorist attack. That's exactly what it is, anti-Semitic. That took place on a Hanukkah celebration in Sydney. What a terrible, terrible thing. We don't learn. We're joined in mourning all of those who were killed, and we're praying for the swift recovery of the wounded. Some are very horrifically wounded, as you probably know. All must stand together against the evil forces of radical Islamic terrorism, and we're doing that. Joining us tonight, our Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is doing a fantastic job. Representatives Paul Gosar, David Kutzoff, Claudia Tenney, Ronnie Jackson, he was my White House doctor. Ronnie was asked, who is the healthiest of all? Was it Hussein Obama? Was it Sleepy Joe Biden? Or was it Donald Trump? And he said Trump was by far healthier. He was the doctor for all three of us. Trump was by far the healthiest. I love him. He didn't say that, I would have never talked to him again. Where is Ronnie? Is he here? Ronnie Jack, what a great legend. Josh Gottheimer is here. Mr. Salt is here. Mike. 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 Mr. Salt is here.
First Jewish president.
First Jewish president.
Turn down the gain. Let's see.
Turn down the game.
It's got an echo in there. It's weird.
and she sues the ass off of anybody that is anti-Semitic. She's doing a lot of them right now. Bird wished they never heard her name, right? They're going to pay a lot of money, right, Harmate? They're going to pay a lot of money. And boy, this you. Bird wished they never heard her name, right? They're going to pay a lot of money, right, mate? They're going to pay a lot of money. And boy, this you. Bird wished they never heard her name, right? Pay a lot of money, right? Pay a lot of money. And boy, this you. So that's what it is. That's what. And by the way, let me just tell you, we needed tickets. Let me talk quiet.
How
A
tough
lot
is
of
it?
times, that's all of his donors and special interests out there. So that's what it is. That's what. And by the way, let me just tell you, we needed tickets. You can't get them. You know who has the tickets for the? I'm talking about to the television audience. Donors, special interest, the people that are putting up the money. So it is. The RNC told us we have all donors in the audience, and the reason they're not loving me, the reason they're not loving me is I don't want their money. I'm going to do the right thing for the American public. I don't want their money. I don't need their money. And I'm the only one up here that can say that. Let me talk. I don't want their money. I'm going to do the right thing for the American public. I don't want their money. I don't need their money. And I'm the only one up here that can say that. Let me talk. You want to come up here? Come up. Miriam gave my campaign indirectly, 250 million. She was number one. When somebody can give you 250 million, I think that we should give her the opportunity to say hello. And Miriam, make it quick, because 250 million is not what it used to be. Okay? Say hello. And Miriam, make it quick, because 250 million incredible is not what it used to be. With a great husband, a man that loved Israel.
Well, Mr. President, when you were in the Israeli parliament and you gave a speech and you saw me from far away, at that time I came with a scooter to the parliament just to hear you. I wanted to hear you alive. And then you said, Miriam Adderson, and I stood for a second, but it was so painful, so I said. Then you screamed, Miriam up! And I wish you would have stood up and heard all your compliments. And I wish you would have stood up and heard all your compliments. And I wish you would have stood up and heard all your compliments.
Hate is hate. It's evil. Charlie and I have always been very clear in our stance. Israel, Jewish people. Charlie and I have always been very clear in our stance. Israel, Jewish people. Awful. Anti-Semitism is what healing factor comes out of hating Jewish people? What healing factor comes out of hating Christians? What healing factor comes out? Hate in general. Nothing. Nothing. Charlie always would say very clearly, Jew hate was brain rot. He would always say it. We've been to Israel twice together. And to be able to walk in the place where our Lord walked, and to be able to walk and see the Bible come to life in Technicolor. How could you hate that place? Technicolor. How could you hate that place? How could you hate that place?
Monday night. There's no suspect in custody. And he's an engineering professor that was just made, an MIT professor was shot and killed in his Brooklyn, Massachusetts home on Monday night. 47-year-old Nuno Loureiro, I think. A nuclear scientist and engineering professor was shot multiple times. He was transported to a Boston hospital where he died Tuesday morning. A neighbor told CBS News they heard 3 loud bangs on Monday night. There's no suspect in custody. And he's an engineering professor that was just put in charge of the MIT Plasma Science and Fusion Center. Loureiro is taking the helms of one of MIT's largest labs. More than 250 full-time researchers, staff members, and students work and study in 7 buildings with nearly 250,000 square feet of lab space. A theoretical physicist and fusion scientist, Loureiro joined MIT as a faculty member in 2016 and was appointed deputy director of the Plasma Science and Fusion Center in 2022. So that is interesting. And I'm not sure if we have any updates to this. So far, there's been no suggestion of a motive or even a potential suspect, but it doesn't sound like the neighbors didn't report hearing a big fight or anything.
Today's let's today's
First Jewish president. And I said, this is our first Jewish president. Now he's the first Jewish president to serve 2 not consecutive presidencies. We thank you for everything. That's right. Bad things happened on the second one. Namely, the election was rigged. And we found out, and you see that happening. But, and you are the greatest president. Thank you very much. And God bless you. I miss you. And I said, this is our first Jewish.
Fake vaccine poisons, aka the retard shots. Let's look at this brain inspection. 5 doses of Pfizer's poison. Look at all the brain damage. Look at the shriveling of the brain. Black up top, that's empty space. The brain is shriveled. Look at the frontal lobotomy there. All that dead brain. Look at the calcified pineal right there. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Patient is now literally retarded. This is a chemical lobotomy. Period. Blow in the whistle on the COVID-19 fake vaccine poisons, aka the retard shots. Let's look at this brain. This patient had 5 doses. Blow in the whistle on the COVID-19 fake vaccine poisons, aka the retard shots. Let's look at this brain. This patient had 5 doses of Pfizer's poison. Look at all the brain damage. Look at the shriveling of the brain. Black up top, that's empty space. The brain is shriveled.
Wow.
Look at the frontal lobotomy there. All that dead brain. Look at the calcified pineal right there. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Patient is now literally retarded. This is a chemical lobotomy. Period.
That's insane. It's a cold morning here.
Bruh, this guy is always at my Walmart parking lot, but today he's literally in here playing motherfucking Call of Duty. What the fuck?
Bruh. Walmart got that good Wi-Fi. Bye.
You have AOC plus 3. And I will say, if you go back 10, 12, 15 years ago at the most, the strongest lobby in Washington was the Jewish lobby. It was Israel. That's no longer true. You have to be very careful. You have a Congress in particular, which is becoming anti-Semitic. You have AOC plus 3. You have those people, Ilhan Omar, she hates Jewish people. And you have to be very careful because there's been a big change. And I will say, if you go back 10, 12, 15 years ago at the most, the strongest lobby in Washington was the Jewish lobby. It was Israel. That's no.
Why does it gotta be a Jew or a Muslim lobby? How about no lobby? What about America?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim la'avoseinu v'yamin ha'ed b'zman hazeh.
I didn't know he was that Jewish. He's my great friend. You are seriously Jewish.
And us joining me today, and we had a deeply unsatisfying briefing this morning with Secretaries Rubio and Hegseth. It asked more questions than it answered, and it was just, look, there is almost no transparency in this administration, and that itself more than anything on revealing what happened on September 2nd. This morning, I demanded in front of every senator to Hegseth's face that he let every senator see the unedited video of what happened on September 2nd. I've seen it. It turns your stomach. It is awful, and people should see it. What the hell is Hegseth hiding? His excuse about classification, it's false, because any senator would see it in the skiff. Now, I believe with the proper safeguards, all the American people should see it. And why is this so important? It's important in itself to see if we were obeying the law. We're a law-abiding country. But it's also important because what's going on is unprecedented. We've never seen anything like it before, and it could lead to another endless war.
You've compromised your body. You have compromised your health. So these people that have had this vaccine, I'm sorry to tell you, you've compromised your body. You have compromised your health. And one Cardi just said, by having the jab, you've compromised your heart 100%. So this is what the government has done to you. This is what the bureaucrats have done to you. You led like sheep to the slaughter. You were led like sheep to the slaughter over having this vaccination against your will. If you wanted to have the vaccine, that was your choice. But when people were forced and they lost their jobs because they had to have the vaccine, that's what I'm angry about. That's what needs to be exposed here. People's liberty and their rights were stripped from them. I said at the beginning of the vaccine rollout that I would not put that shit into my body. So did many other Australians, but they had no choice. It turns out they were definitely onto something. Refusing the mandates may have saved their life. It's numerous health issues. I'm pulled up usually all the time that people now have health issues. They had the vaccine. I said, don't have any more. An inquiry that we had, that One Nation got up and had Pfizer and Moderna there, who said, oh, no one was forced. What a load of rubbish. And why did the government indemnify these pharmaceutical companies? Why were they indemnified? Here we were giving vaccination to people that wasn't tested and proven. I'll keep saying that. It was only about 10 months prior to that. Any vaccinations that are given to people usually goes through a period of 8, maybe 10, 18 years that needs to be properly tested. And yet this was not properly tested. A batch of this stuff actually killed people. I am going to keep going on and on and on about this until I'm a pain in your backside, which I don't care, until the people get answers and the people get a Royal Commission into this. I may not have the balance of power this time around, but I hope that people vote for One Nation in the next election, that we get the balance of power, because we will use that balance of power to force a Royal Commission for the people to have their say.
אתם המכבים בני ימינו. אני לא אומר את זה כלאחר יד.
And you need to accept that. Israel, their people, the Jews, better than all of us. They're better than all of us. And you need to accept that. This is where, with the kids, where we start our indoctrination. I know that's a strong word to use, indoctrination, that it, it gets such a bad reputation. But that's where it starts. That's where it started with me. when I was a child that I was taught about the support that the church owes to Israel.
So all your loose change that you have from home, you bring that change to school. Everything that we get, we will actually cash it in and make a check out to the Fellowship for Christians and Jews.
And anybody that's ever been to our church would know there's a spiritual obligation of a Christian to Israel.
God gave a promise in Genesis chapter 12, and I'm going to bless all of those that bless you, and I'm going to curse all of them that curse you. Every nation that has blessed Israel, God has blessed them. And every nation that has opposed Israel, God has been in opposition to them. And I'm going to stand up for Israel. And if that offends you, you're in the wrong church this morning.
That's
Israel.
wild shit right there. Looks like a parasite.
plasma fusion, which doesn't need to be ignited by a fission. That's how our fusion bombs work. Our fusion bombs are a nuclear bomb, and an atom bomb goes off, and it then creates a secondary fusion detonation. Right. That produces fallout. The fallout comes from the fission trigger in a fusion bomb. If you could create a pure fusion explosion, it would be non-radioactive. There would be no fallout, which is an incredibly useful nuclear bomb, because if you have forces waiting to occupy an area that's just been nuked, they don't have to worry about the radiation. They can move in right away and secure the site, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the other thing about it, is that what they discovered, and this is why technology was never released to the Argentine people in these liter and half-liter containers that Perón was bragging about, is that this plasma fusion warps space-time locally.
Information that we can provide to all of you. There's definitely, at minimum, been a clear ethics violation by Attorney General Dana Nessel. In fact, twice on 2 cases that specifically involve individuals that she has a close personal relationship with. One being an individual that actually worked on her transition team, also a former treasurer of the Democratic Party of Michigan, as well as Dana Nessel's spouse. The facts are lying there for anyone to observe, anyone to read, anyone to look at. Based on the facts that we have, based on the information that we can provide to all of you, there's definitely, at minimum, been a clear ethics violation by
she's a lesbian?
Attorney General Dana Nessel. In fact, twice on 2 cases that specifically involve individuals that she has a close personal relationship with.
I thought it looked like a woman's name. Tracy Cornack. Cobalam.
You got the Coast Guard coming or a towboat? They know that. I'm sure they do. Somebody yet? You got the Coast Guard coming or a towboat? They know that. I'm sure they do. It's Clyde.
What in the world?
100-foot ghost ship.
It's just, I have a lot of things in my almost.
Thank you very much. Wish everyone a happy Hanukkah.
For the first time. We think this is because actually they're 5 times boosted individuals, they find it for the first time. We think this is because actually the mRNA gets into the heart and your heart starts to boost spike protein. And these, you see these scarring spots on there, that's probably where the spike protein was produced. The body attacked it, inflamed it, and it got scarred. It scarred up, and that's what happens when it gets inflamed. And so it's an autoimmune response. And then they're left with this, and they get electrical conduction abnormalities in the heart, and that leads to these lethal arrhythmias, this ventricular tachycardia, and eventually sudden death. And so this is just proof in the cake that, you know, look in people's hearts. This is what it does. It's dangerous, it's cardiotoxic, and they've got to get off the market.
He was sitting at his desk in his office. He was sitting at his desk in his office.
Is it right that so my question is, in the last slides, you mentioned that the Earth's magnetic field was constant in the last billion years. So, yeah, is it right that the Earth has lost 10% of its magnetic field in the last 150 years? And how
Yeah.
come?
So, excellent question, Alec. Thank you. So, when I say the Earth field has remained roughly constant, what I mean is, if you look over longish timescales, its magnitude is roughly constant. Of course, it varies, right? And it reverses sometimes, right? And those reversals of the Earth's magnetic field, so, you know, reversal meaning the North Pole to the South Pole and vice versa. So those happen, and there's even interesting stories you can tell about how those reversals of the Earth's magnetic field correlate with mini ice ages and things like this. Okay, but the idea is that if you average over these periodic reversals, right, or fluctuations, the amplitude of the field has remained roughly constant. Okay? And the idea is that if there was no dynamo working, you and I wouldn't be talking, right? The magnetic field would have diffused very quickly, right? Within 10 to the 5 years, the Earth would be left without a magnetic field, and the Earth's magnetic field protected from cosmic radiation, right? And if you were open to that radiation, we wouldn't be here, like I said, nor would I.
Yeah, very much.
Great, and I think we have one last question, so I'll just give them
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
So my question was, where exactly at using quantum computing in plasma physics problem, as quantum computing is pretty new, right?
Great question.
So how can we use it in plasma physics?
We can't. Okay. So the short answer, we cannot. Okay. The longer answer that, people are thinking like this. People are thinking it may take 20 years for there to be a quantum computer that one can use, right? Like one that actually is useful for something, for solving a real problem, right? And it's a mistake to wait 20 years and then start thinking how to use it. Because it's not going to be about taking a code that I have and just porting it to the quantum computer, right? That's not how it's going to work, because it's a fundamentally different architecture. So what people are thinking is, yes, it will take 20 years to get the computer, but it probably will take 20 years for us to understand how we can map our problems into something that can be solved on a quantum computer. Right? So the idea is to have the two lines of thought develop in parallel, so that by the time that there is actually a useful quantum computer, we are ready to use it. Okay? And it's actually a very challenging problem because, like I said, all our problems are nonlinear. It's not at all obvious how you devise a quantum algorithm that will allow you to solve nonlinear problems. So, for example, an example of something I'm playing around with is called the Madelung transformation, which is a transformation you do to the Schrodinger equation that maps it into fluid-like equation. That's very interesting. Okay? It has limitations, but it's very interesting because our MHD equations are similar to those. Okay? So this gives you an idea of the type of mapping that you can do to some problems that might make them easier to solve on a quantum computer. But it's a completely different way of thinking to what we do currently with conventional computing. Like, you don't think like that for conventional computing. So that's the answer.
Thank you.
I think that's also, that said, I think we can close this session. Thanks again, interesting talk. So for the participants listening, I'll just remind you that the competition starts in about 3.5 hours, but in just about 6 hours, our next talk is exactly going to be on quantum computing. We're joined by Tim from NYU Shanghai. So if you're interested in seeing the other side of what the actual computer that might one day help solve these problems may look like, then tune in about 6 hours. So with that said, I'd like to thank our speaker, Professor Nunlore, once again for joining us, and see you all. Thank you.
Brown University shooter. I thought the footage of this guy was from after the shooting, but apparently from before. That's what the person that posted this is saying. Oh, there's a sprint. But they walked in a circle for a while and then realized they took too long and started running a little here and there. Had to get there on time. That's weird. Yeah, from before. That's wild. 20 feet from a police car walking away.
Everybody's been really, really funny. I just don't want people to get the wrong idea that this is not really, Rob's favorite style of humor. What he really enjoys is what I do, which is far more substantive. But I have to tell you that Rob has devoted himself to seeing the kids from birth to age 3 get the kind of nurturing, intellectual stimulation, love, really, that will make them grow up to be a fully functional, happy person, unlike, say, Brett. And it's a great thing. Most people don't know where this comes from. And Rob doesn't like to talk about it because he's kind of a modest guy. But it comes out of his own personal experience. See, as a baby, Rob was routinely beaten by his father, Carl. Rob believes that this early physical abuse had a profound effect on him as an adult and led to the horrible failure of Ghosts of Mississippi.
You didn't go for north on that one. Just curious.
Exactly. What possibly could explain north?
I helped them out.
On a typical night, Carl would slip into Rob's bed,
Jesus.
roll him over, swab him down, and say something like, "I'm thinking about hiring Maury Amsterdam to play Buddy Sorrell. What do you think?" Well, the success of the Dick Van Dyke Show changed things dramatically. Carl started inviting many of his famous friends to son. And that list includes some of the greats in comedy. Paul Lynde. Dom DeLuise. Rip Taylor. Danny Kaye. Charles Nelson Riley and Rock Hudson, whom I frankly don't think was that funny. Rob, I love you like a brother.
Wait a minute. Don't love me like a brother.
No, and all kidding aside, it's been a great evening, and thank you for doing so much to make sure that no other kid like you.
Thank you, Al.
The fuck is wrong with people? That's from 2000, but yeah, those aren't very good jokes. It's not something to joke about. I mean, sick fucks.
That's a great job. That's great. Thank you.
Great job. Great job, Tom.
Did nothing to
Of anti-Semitism has been unleashed in Australia.
the government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia. And the result is the horrific attacks on Jews we saw today.
Australia, the country that I was born in, just experienced what is being called a major terrorist attack on Bondi Beach. The official narrative is that this was carried out by two Islamic extremists. But over the last 24 hours, a very large portion of the internet has been calling this something else entirely.
False flag. False flag. Was this a false flag attack?
Because when you actually look at the details, the official story does not sit cleanly with the evidence that we have so far. There are far too many inconsistencies to ignore. And we're talking about everything from delayed police response time,
20 minutes was 4 policemen there. Nobody gave fire back.
Google search trends spiking out of Tel Aviv days before the attack,
It's almost like it was planned, right?
and a so-called random victim who just so happens to be a high-level Zionist strategist, ranked among the top 50 actually.
And my only concern was where's my kids, where's my wife?
And then he comes on camera, he's the first on camera, they've got him all bandaged up. That's strange though. Nurses or someone would generally wipe some of the blood off your face first, not just actually have it all smeared all over your face for drama.
Who also survived October 7 and moved to Australia just weeks ago to combat anti-Semitism. In his own bio, he describes himself as a Zionist strategist, so the obvious question then becomes, what exactly have they been strategizing? Now, predictably, the usual fluoride brain suspects have already emerged, come out of the woodworks to inform us that even asking these questions is stupid and hateful and demonic and just unhinged. But here's what's actually stupid from my perspective: shutting down a theory before you have even examined the information. So that is what we are going to be doing today.
Follows yesterday. European leaders in favor of a restrictive immigration policy are gathering in Budapest today for a meeting of minds. It follows yesterday's vote in Hungary to stop Soros. That's a series of laws that criminalize any individual or group who help asylum seekers, including NGOs. Well, the move defies the EU and human rights groups. Amongst those at the meeting will be Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz, an immigration hardliner, as well as Hungarian leader Viktor Orban. And MPs also passed an amendment saying, and quote, alien population cannot settle in Hungary, outlawing EU attempts to relocate asylum seekers from Italy and Greece. Well, joining us from Paris now is Dutch journalist Stefan de Vries. Stefan, this is again another complicated topic. Why is there so much support on tightening restrictions on asylum in Hungary?
Well, Viktor Orban sees himself as the defender of Christian Europe, as the protector, as a perceived Muslim invasion. And this rhetoric brought him a crushing victory in the last elections in April. He won a 2/3 majority in the parliament. And, well, we've seen that in other countries as well. Being tough on immigration attracts voters. We've seen it in Italy, in EU member states, and the Stop Soros campaign slogan was a very popular one. Now, George Soros is seen as the person who is organizing this imaginary foreign invasion, because if you look at the numbers, Hungary has actually one of the lowest immigration rates of the whole European Union. But George Soros is seen as the personification of this invasion. And the fact that Soros is Hungarian, well, it probably really bothers Orban, who sees Soros as some traitor of his country. And that may be an explanation why this Stop Soros bill was voted by such a large majority yesterday in Budapest.
Obviously, human rights groups obviously are not going to be happy with this. What can they do? What will their response be to this?
Well, of course, they are very disappointed and even upset by this new rule. Their hope, of course, is the European Union. The Council of Europe, which is the continent's leading human rights institution, is currently reviewing the bill. They had asked the Hungarians to wait with the vote, but ignore this call. But it may well be that this bill is not respecting European laws. I think later today the European Commission will issue a reaction to what's happening now in Budapest. But for the moment, the human rights organizations, well, they really have to comply with the new rules, because they risk a prison sentence of for a 1 year if they help illegal immigrants to apply for asylum. The only hope now is the European Commission and the Council of Europe. And I think later today we will have reactions from Brussels and probably also a warning to Orban.
Yeah, but Stefan, it's not the first warning. The EU has already said before Hungary, you cannot do this, but Hungary went ahead and did it. So will that change anything? Will the EU's reaction change anything?
You're absolutely right. Viktor Orban has been defying the European Union for many years now, and we've seen that Brussels is basically, well, they can't do anything. They can threaten. We're seeing the same thing with Poland. They are, of course, trying to get Poland on track because they are not respecting, according to Brussels, the basic rules of a law society. So they can threaten, but what can they do? There is a procedure to exclude the European member states, but this has never been used in the history of Europe, and it will be very difficult because it's very unpopular, especially now in these times that populist parties are gaining more and more votes. So yeah, the union can yell, they can shout, but at the end, it's Viktor Orban who wins.
And very briefly, Stefan, what's interesting is, again, we're going to have this summit, and Hungary will be in the midst of all those leaders. What do you expect from that?
Well, not much. I think the agreement will be that Hungary should respect European law, that the European Commission will look into it. But more importantly, there's another extra mini summit this weekend in Brussels with Italy, Germany, the Netherlands, a number of other countries on the issue. So we see that the migrant issue is really, well, we've talked about this many times this week already, is one of the most urgent this week. And it really doesn't, it's not logical because, as we've seen, the numbers are down. There are actually very few immigrants coming to Europe now. And even in Hungary, there are currently around 3,000 refugees in Hungary on a population of 10 million. So there's a huge difference between reality and perception, and it will be the task of the European politicians to explain that this gap is not real, but it will be very difficult since the populists are so popular.
Yeah, but what will be interesting is to watch the behind the scenes in those summits. Thank you very much, Stefan de Vries.
Had some NGOs come knock on the door quite a few times. Come to my neighborhood and just knock on my door. Knocking on doors, whatever, you know, the whole. And they'd knock on my door and leave. Strange, really.
We perfect. Oh, the geese are flying. I live in Oregon. I've always known my vote doesn't matter. We perfected mail-in voting here and then sent it out across the country. The ants go marching in, run this fucking state. And until the shit in the fucking sky stops and the shit on the fucking ground stops, I don't fucking care anymore. I don't fucking care. You know what? I got 12 more years to work and I'm retired. I don't fucking care. I'm working for 12 more fucking years and that's it. Hopefully there's a big win and downfall. Great for me. But I don't fucking care. I didn't care before. And then I got on the train in 2016 and was like, yeah, let's go. And the train has just gone in fucking circles. Oh, we're the most transparent. Is transparency in the room with us? Hello? Is there transparency here? Transparency? Transparency? Are you here? Not here. Maybe at your house, but not mine. I'm fucking tired of looking up in the fucking sky every damn day and seeing that shit. I'm tired of this fucking weather. I'm tired of this fucking shit everywhere. I'm fucking tired. I have been screaming about this since my fucking 20s. 25 fucking years. I'm tired. Fuck, you see the bags? I'm fucking tired. I usually don't have bags under my eyes. I'm fucking tired. Fuck all this shit. Do it. Do it now or shut the fuck up about it. See, I got ADHD and a little bit of autism. Just like my exes. Once you lose me, it's out of sight, out of fucking mind. I'm moving forward in this train. Choo-choo, get out the way. Once you lose me, it's pretty much over. So, yeah. Now, like I said, I go back and forth on all this all the time, but this is the time where I'm like deep out of it. I'm so far fucking out of it that I don't know if there's any coming back. And unfortunately, that comment section is full of people just like me. And I'm sure the people that haven't seen this are the exact same way. I hear it all the fucking time. I'm tired. They're doing nothing. We were promised tribunals. We were promised all this stuff and still fucking nothing. So President Trump, if you're listening, shit or get off the fucking pot. Because we aren't even voting anymore. There's no fucking point to it. Transparency ain't here. Love y'all. Bye.
הנרות הללו שאנו מדליקים על הניסים ועל הנפלאות ועל התשועות ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם מעוז ישועתי לך נאה לשבח תיכון בית תפילתי ושם תודה נזבח לתחילת ברך מצער המבח אז אגמור בשיר מזמור חג
That's wild looking.
Of Stop Anti-Semitism, the same people who got me kicked out of TPUSA say that anything that you say against Jews will follow you and terrorize you for the rest of your life. This is out of control. You need to listen to the founder of Stop Anti-Semitism. The same people who got me kicked out of TPUSA say that anything that you say against Jews will follow you and terrorize you for the rest of your life.
After 10/7, the scale of threat and the urgency of our mission changed dramatically overnight. Since that day, we have featured more than 1,000 anti-Semites on our platforms. 1,000. Not theorized about them, not quietly documented them, feature them publicly, clearly, and with evidence. The results speak for themselves. Approximately 400 of these Jew haters have faced real consequences, including firings, suspensions, and expulsions. More than 300 of them remain in an active investigatory state across universities, corporations, DEI departments, unions, hospitals, nonprofits, and yes, unfortunately, federal government agencies. And yes, 5 arrests to date tied directly to threats and violence of anti-Semitic conduct we helped expose. This is what accountability looks like. This is what action looks like. This is what pushing back hard looks like against the tidal wave of hate that has the United States and global population. From our founding, Stop Anti-Semitism has operated on one guiding belief. Anti-Semitism thrives when there are no consequences. So we created consequences, a lot of them. We created visibility. We turned the spotlight towards those who targeted on our community, making silence impossible.
Oh, for anybody who says that it's a conspiracy theory that Jews are controlling the U.S. government, please explain to me why they are given free reign to terrorize and destroy the lives of American citizens on their own homeland for exercising their right to freedom of speech. You know, nobody has a problem with that for no reason at all. You know, it's not like they've been blowing up little babies in the Middle East for the last 2 years for everybody to see. No, that wouldn't be a reason at all why there's a rise in anti-Semitism. And you better not dare bring up the fact that their Talmud says that they can have sex with underage children. Because if you do that, that might be anti-Semitic. And then you'll find yourself blacklisted like me, and the hit pieces coming out about you that are on the front page of Google that they're loud and proud about, because we have a mafia, a Jewish mafia, running our government and running our country. And this is the tweet. This tweet right here: Zionists controlling our planet are all pedophiles who have no regard for the sanctity of human life and purity. Read the Talmud and it'll all make more sense. Stop Anti-Semitism was upset about that and said, "We trust you'll be breaking your relationship with this vile anti-Semite, TPUSA." 3 hours later, I was kicked out of the organization. So don't tell me that they're not controlling our media. Don't tell me that they're not controlling our political organizations in America. They're controlling our country, and they need to be stopped. God bless.
They do have some that's for sure. I think I'll end it there tonight. Thanks for watching, everybody.